Hi folks, Barry Lohman from Motorama Live and Team Hall Nass. Here with my new friend Lloyd Biermann. That's right, he's the beer man. We got the beer man in the pickup truck and we're hauling Nass.
Yeah, so, no beer.
But no beer. The beers come later tonight when we're celebrating our day. Absolutely. So we're in the 2014 Chevrolet Silverado. But wait folks, this isn't just another Silverado video like we brought you a few months ago. No. We're in the High Country, the new special edition Silverado on the high luxury end of things. And my favorite part, of course, we got the 6.2 liter V8, 420 horsepower, 460 foot-pounds of torque at our disposal. And as you can maybe hear in the background, because this truck is very quiet, but oh, this thing will go, baby, go. Absolutely. Yep. And fortunately, it's got a good braking system on it to rein that power in as well. Right? Yeah, exactly. So we're all good on that. So Lloyd, what can you tell us about this new 2014 Silverado High Country edition? What's the inspiration for the High Country?
Well, Chevrolet has known for a long time that 30% of folks who buy pickups, 30% of those folks really buy in the upper end of the segment. I mean, the numbers we use are 40,000 and above, but we know there's a lot of folks up there that are buying trucks for everyday uses, but also are looking for luxury things.
A lot of LTZ customers.
Well, there's a lot of LTZ customers. That's exactly right. Actually, with our new Silverado, about 40% of the trucks we're selling are LTZs.
Oh wow!
And we also know that truck owners are very loyal to their brands, right? You know that as well as we do.
Absolutely.
And so the thought was, well, you know what? If those customers are looking for more luxury amenities, and they love Silverado, why not offer a luxury truck, a rugged luxury truck, and we called it High Country. Now, where the name came from, quite frankly, I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
But the idea is to kind of represent a brand or a model that's up at the kind of the top of our lineup
in the High Country. And ironically, we are in the Texas Hill Country right now, so this would actually be a Hill Country Chevrolet, but we're in the High Country, in the Hill Country, in the Chevrolet. And if you can keep up with all that, I tell you what you'd have trouble keeping up with is this beautiful 6.2 liter V8 that we got stuff under the hood of this thing.
Fun, aren't you?
Oh, I tell you what, if my eyes are open, if I am awake, I am having fun unless I'm paying the bills. I tell you, I absolutely am in love with this new pickup truck. And let's be honest here for a moment, y'all needed this because Ford, unfortunately, has been killing it with the F-150 for the last few years. And I've had a lot of Chevy trucks over the years. I'm a big fan of the brand. Yep. I mean, I don't hide that. And even I have had to say for the last couple of years, man, that Ford truck is impressive. And so to see for 2014, Chevrolet and GMC both step up and answer Ford and maybe even then some with the new Silverado and the new Sierra, and then to come in with this 1-2 punch with this new High Country edition with the 6.2 liter. I mean, this is just awesome stuff.
You're right. Ford has been a pretty formidable competitor for quite a while. But we think with the new vehicle, especially with the High Country kind of going against the King Ranch model, the Denali going against their Platinum Edition, I think we've got a very strong competitor. Quite frankly, the 5.3, the bread and butter powertrain that we've got, the 5.3 is doing better fuel economy than that EcoBoost that they've got.
Really?
It does do a mile per gallon better and a mile per gallon on the combined. So the 5.3 is better than the EcoBoost from a fuel economy standpoint. And then as you mentioned many times, we've got the 6.2 with the horsepower and torque in it. The way we think about it at Chevy and really at GMC as well is we want to outflank Ford. We want to go at them from kind of both angles. The lower end coming up at them from Chevrolet, the higher end coming down at them from GMC. And we think we've got a good lineup. The additional thing we've got coming up, and I don't know if you've talked about this or not yet with your readers, but we've got a Colorado coming up as well, a midsize.
Oh, got a midsize. Get back in the midsize truck game.
We are getting back in the midsize game as well. We recently announced that we're building it in Wentzville, Missouri.
Okay.
And it'll be coming out next year. So we'll have a 3-truck strategy. We'll have the Silverado for Chevrolet. We'll have the Silverado. We'll have the HD that we're going to talk about at State Fair of Texas this Thursday. And then we'll have the Colorado coming out as well. So we'll have 3 trucks to go after all of our competitors. That every other competitor we've got only carries 2 trucks in their lineup.
Oh wow, that is impressive. And I know you can't speculate on future product, so I'm not going to ask you to do so. But I wouldn't be doing our viewers out there justice if I didn't at least pose the question.
Go for it.
Is there any chance that when we get this Colorado that we might be able to convince somebody to stuff the 6.2 into Colorado? Because you want to talk about fun, man, oh man, you're right back in the sport truck business with that. That is hoonability.
There has been some conversation about doing a sport truck. Might not be in a Colorado, might be in a Silverado instead. But certainly thinking about that. So
hey, you heard it here. You know, you never know what could happen.
Yep.
I love parts bin builds. I love it when the bean counters are taken out of the process, and you know the engineers are just given the, hey, here's what's in the parts bin, here's what's available. Now behind cloak and dagger out here at Milford, you guys just throw together what's fun and put it out there.
Well, if you folks pay attention to SEMA at all, I'm sure you're going to SEMA.
Oh yeah, we go SEMA every year.
You might just see something that you're thinking about there. So I won't say much more than that.
Really?
Won't say much more than that, but maybe we can do another one of these at SEMA.
You know what? Deal. Let's do it. We'll do it. And maybe even on Monday night for the Chevrolet preview.
I will be there.
Hopefully I will be there as well. So if I don't get kicked off of that list in the process of enjoying this 6.2.
No, but you're being tamed today. Well, more or less. So.
Well, more or less. So.
And that's not a challenge, mind you. That's not a challenge.
You sure? Because we can go. No, but you know what? That is an addictive sound. I mean, you know, and people are when it comes to hot rods, people are very, very brand loyal. People love the sound of that bow tie, that 350 engine cranking up in the past in the history, and nowadays in the era of the 6.2, you know, all the LS motors. Of course, I love LS motors, and you know, now getting into the LT motors and that technology. And speaking of, the beast that's under the hood of this thing is not that much different than what's under the hood of the new C7 Corvette. I mean, there are some differences to it, but the heart of the same beast lies right under the hood right here.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. We, you know, very honestly at Chevrolet, we let Corvette have all the talk they want about their motor, and we really don't make that comparison very often.
Sure.
People who are in the know, like yourself, know it. But yeah, it's very similar to the Corvette motor that they're using. So it's a good powertrain. Our engineers have done a really nice job. You talk about the exhaust sound, the exhaust note that's coming out. We specifically tune that so it sounds nice and beefy to our customers. It's a great motor. It's a great motor.
Now you mentioned something about the exhaust sound, and I got to ask you, this is all just pure exhaust sound. We're not hearing any tomfoolery of exhaust sound being piped in through the audio system for enhancement. No, this is just straight American V8 power. No tricks here, my friends. No. When I mash that gas, you hear it rumble. That's what you get.
Exactly right. Exactly right. There's no trickery involved.
No tomfoolery going on with the exhaust sound. And we appreciate that as a longtime customer and as an enthusiast and as a guy that's built a lot of Chevy engines for different applications. I appreciate that. Really, really do.
Yeah, one of the things, and we're kind of hearing a combination of two, is these new trucks, these new Silverados, this High Country especially, very quiet on the inside as well. I mean, you and I can have a very easy conversation if there's somebody sitting in the back. We can all talk very easily, very quiet because of the seals we put on the doors, because of the aerodynamics we've done. And frankly, if nothing else, that allows us to hear that nice exhaust sound that we're getting as well.
My goodness, this is the quietest. And when we drove the Silverado, the first debut a few months ago with the 5.3 in it,
right.
You know, that was the first comment I've had to say. Everybody that's asked me about their truck since then, you know, what do you think of the new 2014 Silverado? It's the quietest pickup truck you've ever driven in your life, period.
They've done a nice job with the sound, the acoustics on the inside of the car. They've done a nice job with the ride handling as well. That's the other thing I hear is smooth from a ride standpoint as well. Still does the job you need it to do, but it's very comfortable. Honestly, when you're designing a High Country vehicle or a Silverado overall, is people are paying good money for this. They're buying a luxury truck in the case of the High Country, and you want them to be treated well.
Absolutely, and I think they will be. And speaking of High Country and being treated well, tell us a little bit about the interior treatments that we get that are specific to this High Country model.
Well, the High Country is primarily an appearance package, if you will, with a lot of standard equipment.
Okay.
From an appearance standpoint, the interior is a saddle brown interior. We call it saddle, the color.
Okay.
It's a higher level leather
Okay.
than we generally use on our LTZ packages.
Okay.
But it's a unique color to the High Country. We don't offer it on any other Silverados.
So it really is kind of that answer to the King Ranch.
It is. Well, that's exactly what it is.
Okay.
That's exactly. We go against the King Ranch very directly, and I think this truck would come out ahead. I mean, you'll see if you look behind us, the logos on the High Country logos on the headrests as
Yeah,
well.
and the stitching in there.
Right, and the stitching.
Really
There's
nice.
piping on the seats. It's a very nice interior appearance package. But then you get a lot of the standard equipment. You get the 8-inch Myling screen that's in front of us with the navigation here, which navigation's available, but nonetheless the 8-inch screen standard. The seats are heated and cooled with perforated leather. That's standard.
And thank God to General Motors for finally putting air-conditioned seats in the truck. I know up north a lot of folks don't really put much stock in air-conditioned seats, but down here in Texas, I got to tell you something. As a big old boy that sweats himself to death when he sits in leather seats in 105, 110 degree weather, I appreciate the air-conditioned seat. And when you're buying a luxury vehicle, which essentially the High Country is a luxury pickup truck, it's the little things like that.
Well, quite frankly, that's also tied in on the remote start. If you decide, if it's really hot outside and you're inside, you want to get the truck going, use the remote start, and if your cooled seats were on before, they'll also start up again, and it'll cool the seat down for you a little bit before you get in. Now, wouldn't they make your fanny comfortable? Huh?
Hey, there you go. Absolutely.
Anyway,
when your buns are cool, the rest of you's cool. I'll tell you that. It's easier to keep a cool head behind the wheel, especially when you got that 6.2 just right there under your right foot, just begging you to go, baby, go.
So anyway, on the interior, that's kind of the upgrades we've put into the appearance and the quality of the leather that we've put in, and made this kind of a unique interior to the truck, along with a lot of standard equipment. On the outside, we go 20s all the way. 20s are standard on the High Country, so we have 20-inch chrome wheel and tire. There's a unique grille. There's obviously a badge on the outside, a little bit of touch of chrome here and there on the outside of the truck as well. And then under the hood, as you said, we've got actually the 5.3 is the standard engine.
Okay.
And then the 6.2 is an upgrade. But quite frankly, I think a lot of folks who buy the High Country will get the 6.2 as well.
And for my money, and granted, I'm a hoon at heart. The truth of the matter is, the 5.3 is a great motor. We've tested it. We've done some pulling, some towing with it, and just driven it, just normal out here on the street, running empty. And the 5.3, I believe, has 355 horsepower,
yes,
I believe,
right.
and it gets the job done. It's no slouch.
No.
Not by any stretch of the imagination. However, for just under $2,000, you can have 420 horsepower, 460 foot-pounds of torque. I mean, that's money well spent. It really is.
And I'll tell you this, and again, I can't tell you the whole story, but I'll tease you a little bit, is we haven't announced fuel economy numbers yet.
Right.
Because our dear government still has to approve.
Absolutely.
But we do, our engineers will whisper in the background what those numbers potentially are, and it's really not much of a fuel economy difference, not much of a drop going from the 5.3 to this beast of a 6.2.
Really?
You're still going to get, because
I had a suspicion.
We're still going to get good fuel economy numbers with this. I wouldn't be surprised to see a highway number beginning with a 2, right? And it's because of those technologies that we've used in all the Ecotec engines. Every single Ecotec engine, the 4.3, the 5.3, and the 6.2, all have direct injection, all have variable valve timing, and they all have the active fuel management, or people call it cylinder deactivation as well.
Yeah, no.
Frankly, we're driving in V4 mode right now.
Oh wow, we are, aren't we?
And
I'm driving a 4-banger. What the hell? I'm driving a 4-banger, and I'm having a good time. So
now you mash on it, and it'll go back to V8.
Oh yeah. Oh, now there we go. You know what? And this knows when it's in the mode where it says V4,
right?
It actually the little V lights up in green, and then you've got a little 4, and then when you mash on it, it says V8. The V actually changes color. Now it changes to blue.
It should change to red.
That's what I'm thinking. Getting the red, and now we're back in V4
blue
mode.
might be the color
green.
of the lights behind you if you use it too much.
Well, there's there's a high likelihood. There's a high likelihood of that to happen in the High Country when you got Team Hall Nass behind the wheel, pedaling the 6.2. I got to tell you, I'm impressed. I really am impressed. The ride quality's there. The handling seems to be there. I would imagine that weight-wise, the 5.3 and the 6.2 are probably pretty darn close on weight, because we're talking the same block here.
Yep.
Just more displacement and
exactly right.
A little more air fuel ratio going on.
Our engineers will tell us that the mass in both vehicles is pretty similar. Math on both powertrains is pretty similar as well. So.
Yeah, so it's pretty lightweight out there on the front end, and I mean, it really, you know, the front end stays nice and planted.
They all have that aluminum block, they're good powertrains. Sorry, I'm not super powertrain guy, so I don't know a lot of the details about it.
Oh, that's okay. Most folks aren't, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely. You know,
all I know is it goes.
Oh, and yes, it definitely goes. And we've been riding along. Now, you guys might notice on the camera that for the most part, we've been behaving ourselves on this. And part of the reason is because safety is important. Safety is always at the forefront of our minds. It's also because we're, you know, have a representative of Chevrolet in the vehicle, and it's also because we're trying to have a nice conversation here, you know, for your all's benefit. It's also because we've been stuck behind, you guys know me, I've been stuck behind this Buick for about the last 15 miles.
Let's see, LeSabre, probably an 85.
And it's not the new Buick. It's not the new Buick that's, you know, cool and happening. It's the Buick of, you can imagine, and the folks that are in it are somewhere between retirement and 1 foot in the hole. So it's, yeah, we've been kind of just loping along in V4 mode. But that said, we reset the trip odometer and the average fuel economy numbers before we left. Now, granted, we've only gone 18.9 miles at this moment, and I've been mashing on the gas just a little bit, but not too bad. And so far, we've averaged 17.2 miles to the gallon out here. But again, we're on a 2-lane road. We're going up down hills. I keep rolling into the throttle because I love to hear that 6.2 rumble. But you know what? I imagine that if we were out on a nice flat Texas highway somewhere, rolling along at steady throttle, to me, it's completely conceivable this thing could get 20 some miles to the gallon on the highway. I can see it coming. I don't need the EPA to tell me. I got a feeling that we're going to be able to see that. So it'll be interesting to see in real world numbers when we get some time to, you know, really get behind this wheel and see what it does, what those numbers turn out to be.
The other thing I found it kind of funny as we were talking, you didn't even know we were in V4 mode, did you?
No, I have a clue. I really didn't have a clue.
No nothing, right?
Whereas, you know, you can probably tell I'm old school. If you told me I was driving around a 4-banger, I'd be like, oh, you know. Unless we're talking about one of these new whiz-bang 4-bangers with turbochargers hanging all over them and, you know, and getting our hoon on, that's a different story because that world has started to change and for the better. What else can you tell us about this 2014 Silverado High Country that we may not already be aware of between, you know, the handful of articles that are going to trickle out after this event and from, you know, reading the press release? What's some of the fun facts about this vehicle?
I think, quite frankly, if we do well with this High Country on the Silverado, GMC on their Denali's tended to take the Denali brand across their different their different trucks.
I've wondered if we would see that. I actually asked Tom Wilkinson about that. I said, hey, is there any chance that we're going to see a High Country Tahoe or Silverado? He said, well, let's see how the truck sells.
Yeah,
and I thought that was a fair answer.
And that's really where we're at. There aren't any plans on paper today to do a High Country elsewhere, but
it's conceivable that we could be looking at that year or so down the road, maybe.
Right. You know, who knows what we got coming up with the heavy duty, or who knows what we got coming up with the Colorado or the Tahoe Suburban, or, you know, whatever. So if it does well, trust me, we'll sell it.
There you go.
I'd be glad to.
Straight from the horse's mouth. Yeah, I'd just like to say, if you're driving a 2014 Chevy Silverado High Country with a 6.2 liter in it, and you get past, then there's no way that you're hauling ass.